Welcome back, everybody. Now, what is hidden force that shapes our success, relationships, decisions, and ultimately our destiny? That's the central question explored in M.K. Angajan's new book, The Hidden Frequency, Tuning into the Wavelength of Excellence. Now, the author ultimately serves a call to intentional living. So it asks the readers to slow down, to reflect and examine the habits, beliefs and relationships shaping our future. On our book review segment today, M.K. Angajan, author, behavioral scientist, joins us now to explore this work further. A very good morning to you, Mr. M.K. Thanks for joining us. Welcome.
Very good morning, 𝐶𝐵.
It's an absolute pleasure having you join us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I see that your life's work is deeply grounded in Vedanta, leadership and philosophy and, and the study of the human mind. So the concept hidden frequency, the language of frequency and wavelength used to explain personal growth. Just tell us more.
Right. When we talk about frequency, most people think in terms of television, Wi-Fi, radio, etc.
Yes.
But the truth is that there is a frequency that every single one of us radiate in our life, right? Okay. That depends upon our mindset, our attitude, our thought process, and the emotions that we carry. Now, a lot of people try to change their life by changing the external situation, external circumstances. You know, they can change their house, their spouse, their city, their environment, their job, but nothing can bring that satisfaction and contentment that we are aspiring for unless we change that inner frequency. So the book explored how to identify that and how to bring about that transformation.
I'm actually glad you raised that point because you repeatedly suggest that who we become is more important than what we accumulate. Absolutely. So why do you think people often underestimate the power of, the small daily choices?
It's so crucial because it is daily choices that eventually transform our life. It is the daily choices. We can't choose our future. We can choose our daily habits, and those positive daily habits that we practice every single day eventually transform our future for the better. And it's very crucial.
And chapter 8 focuses heavily on distraction. I mean, just reading into your point you made about the daily choices that we make. So
that's right.
Do you think social media is today's biggest obstacle to excellence?
It depends upon how we see it. It can be a huge opportunity or it can be a huge distraction.
Okay.
Now, to be able to use the technology, social media is one of the technology that we human beings use, right? Now, technology can be a boon or a bane, depends upon if you have a mastery over it. Now, if you allow the technology to control you, we become an idiot. Like I said, Albert Einstein said, I fear the day that technology overpower human interaction, the world will have a generation of idiots, quote unquote, right? So we should be able to use the technology and not allow the technology to use us. So social media can be an a distraction, a huge distraction, unless you have a mastery over your mind. And once we have a mastery of our thoughts, our emotion, mastery over our own self, technology, social media can be a huge boon.
And more so because if you consume technology and social media in a controlled manner, in a disciplined manner, then it becomes a positive.
It becomes a positive, absolutely. We should be able to leverage technology for our better quality of life, for our happiness. But at the moment, when many people's life, technology overpower them, so that becomes an impediment.
Well, I hope the youth is actually listening to this because as it is Youth Month, it is very vital that they understand what technology means to them and the pitfalls of technology and the positives of technology. And I quite like that you make a distinction between excellence and success. Because it is Youth Month, what advice would you give to young people out there who are often struggling with self-doubt and how success is defined?
It is actually, you hit the nail on the head. This is a youth month and it's important that we focus upon the youth of South Africa. Today, youth carry a wrong impression that success is on the other side of a university degree. Okay. While university degree, a qualification is very important, that the success is not on the other side. There is something that is missing. Right. So this book actually bridges the gap between your education and employment. And that depends upon who you are, your mindset, your thought process. You often come across a lot of people who are not brilliant academically and they're achievers. On the other hand, a lot of people who are brilliant academically have not really made a difference in their life or in the life of the country, right? I mean, life of the people in this country. So therefore, what is that missing link? So it bridges that gap. The book talks about that actually. What is that gap?
And the book also argues that success is first an internal journey before it becomes an external discipline. And you write extensively about discipline. So why do you think discipline often matters than motivation?
Because today, people are gravitating towards instant gratification. The world is all the time focusing upon quick joy, instant pleasure, immediate gratification.
True.
Discipline gives us that ability to look towards long term rather than short term. So discipline means being a disciple to a principle. The word discipline is derived from the word disciple. So you got to be a disciple to a principle. You got to be a disciple to a higher value. You got to be a disciple to your right mental attitude. And that is where discipline originating from. Talking about discipline, you know, there are two types of pains that we go through. They are the pain of discipline and the pain of regret. If you don't endure the pain of discipline, we are sure to go through the pain of regret later. And pain of regret is far more enduring than the pain of discipline. Pain of discipline is momentary. Pain of regret is much long lasting. So therefore, discipline is crucial. So this is where our youth, we need to understand. You know, today's education, you know, without sounding critical, they do not provide the mindset, the self-transformation that is required for that success in life. So this is where the book comes in.
And I guess the key takeaway this morning from this interview is that the pain of discipline is much better than the pain of regret.
Indeed.
The most profound thing I've heard all morning.
It is, it is.
Mr. MK, great chatting to you.
And the university educational institution don't seem to provide that actually. So this is where the book comes in.
Okay, so where do we get a copy?
They're available online bookshops and specifically online, you know, Takealot and Amazon, all of those, you know, media is available actually.
Okay, great stuff. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, many thanks to MK Angajan for exploring his new book, The Hidden Frequency, Tuning into the Wavelength of Excellence.